Welcome to the farm.
Welcome to the farm. I'm Justin, and today I think we're going to wrap up our maple season. Dana's going to come out a little bit later. We're going to work on pulling taps, but for now, I'm just going to get a couple buckets collected and get our evaporator going so we can start reducing this down. So we've been really busy the last couple weeks and haven't collected buckets in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So I'm anticipating we're going to have some pretty full buckets. Let's find out. Yeah, not too bad. This one's about half full. That one's really full. That one's about half full as well. Okay, so I got the first 3 buckets collected and they are frozen solid. We've had a real cold snap. Yesterday was like a high of 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm gonna go take these down to the barn, throw them in front of the heater that I got going to kind of thaw them out a little bit so we can get them in the evaporator.
So since I'm heating a couple buckets to thaw them out, I decided to go grab a few more, put those in front of the heater, and start thawing those out as well.
Okay, so we got the evaporator all ready to go. We got those buckets in front of the heater. They've been sitting there for a couple minutes now, just long enough for me to get the firewood and stuff ready. Let's go see if they've loosened up enough around the edge to get them in here. Okay, so I've had the heater running on them for a few minutes. Hopefully that's enough that they broke loose. Looked like they did. Let's find out.
So I just want to mention that technically we are overfilling our evaporator right now. Generally we put in about 10 gallons to start, which would put us just at the top of the baffles. I'm going to throw 15 gallons in just because of all the ice. We're going to let that all melt down and come up to temperature, and then we can let that sit and boil down for a while without adding more cold stuff to it and killing our boil.
Well, that wasn't the most graceful of pours. I spilt all over the stack, so when we start this and it starts heating up, it's going to smell like burning maple sap, but that'll go away eventually. Let's get the fire started.
We're going to take the remaining buckets we have and we're going to stack them up next to the evaporator and use the residual heat from the evaporator to start thawing out all that ice. So while we're waiting for this ice to melt and the sap to come up to a boil, which took about an hour, normally it does not take that long. We're not working with solid ice, but we had a free day. We had some time. We need to get some boiling in. Anyway, while we're waiting, I thought I'd talk about the ratio of sap to syrup. So obviously throughout the years and different trees, the ratio is a little bit different, but generally it takes about 30 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. So you need to collect quite a bit of sap and do a lot of boiling to get any substantial amount of syrup. So as you're boiling, the sap will kind of make a white foam. And those are all the impurities in the sap, so you want to take a skimmer and skim all that foam off to get those impurities out.
Did not plan on that big ice chunk coming out. Oh well. It's in there now. It's gonna just cool off our boil. Having this big chunk of ice, but it is what it is. All right, so we're out here pulling of our taps. We use a hammer, kind of just as if you're pulling like a nail out of a wall. Kind of wiggle it out. Okay, they're a little frozen, I think. Usually they're not this difficult to get out. Let's try this one. And just broke off the tap inside the tree. Alright, so taps are frozen in. Instead of breaking all of our taps, we're just going to pull the buckets, leave the taps into the trees, and then hopefully later on today, as it turns in the afternoon, warms up a little bit, hopefully we can come back and remove all the taps. So we'll just collect our buckets right now.
So this is the last of our buckets pulled. Once the temperatures warm up, it's supposed to get into the 40s today, Fahrenheit. So hopefully that'll thaw out the trees a little bit and we can pull the taps. Otherwise we'll do it tomorrow. Either way, it doesn't hurt it. But yeah, I think it's been a good season. We decided to pull, even though the sap's still running, because we're getting into more of the darker type syrup. So as your season starts, you get more of like a dessert syrup, which is almost clear to a light yellow. It's very, very sweet. Then you get more of your normal syrup, which is your amber color, which you would use on like pancakes and stuff. And then as you get later in the season, you get into more of like a molasses. And we don't do much with like the molasses type stuff.
No. Although we want to try and do it this year. We're trying to perfect our barbecue sauce. So that does have a molasses in it. So we're going to try and get molasses this year and just see how that goes.
And we'll also use some of it to make maple sugar, which we use in cooking and on top of treats and that kind of stuff, which is really delicious. But yeah, it's been a great season. I think this is the most we've ever gotten out of any taps. Normally we had like anywhere from 30, 20, somewhere around there. This year we only had 15. I think this is the most sap we've ever gotten.
Yeah, the trees were really producing this year. I think there were days like we had 5-gallon buckets that were filled. So it was a good season. It was long and ready to be done.
Yep, I'm ready to be done, and we're going to be done.
Yes. All right, take 2. So it seems like it has warmed up some. Hopefully the trees have warmed up. We can now pull the taps out. There we go. All right, on to the next trees.
So technically our season doesn't have to come to an end yet. We could keep collecting, but we've kind of had enough for the season. It takes a lot of work and time to do this. But there are 2 things that signify the end of the season. The first thing would be if the trees bud. That means your sap's going to turn, its flavor is going to get real woodsy and I think more bitter. The other thing that signifies the end of the season is when your nighttime temperatures don't drop below freezing. For maple sap season, you need that pumping action where it's freezing at night, above freezing during the day. If either of those 2 things happen, the season's over. So as far as once the tap's pulled from the tree, there's really nothing you need to do. The tree will just seal itself off and heal itself. We will be doing one more video on maple sap. It'll be the finishing process and possibly even making the sugar. But again, that'll be in another video. So just want to say thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.